So where are we? We just send an email. It shows up here. But you know, sometimes sending an email may slow down the time you get back to the user. Does anyone know why? When you send an email, where do you go? Do you stay in your own server? No. Yeah, you could make the server do the emailing. You have to install Postmail or some backend for emailing. But that's not what we're doing with Heroku, right? We call a service to send the email. So you use SendGrid, Postmark, and many Mailjet, many of them. You can see it on Heroku. So the idea is that what if right then the connection's a little slow and it may take like a second, 2 seconds. So then the user doesn't get a good experience. You like something and it takes 3 seconds to get back to you. So what we want is to background the task and still get back to the user. So where's my code? It's here, right? So if I go to the place where I send the sender email, you see deliver now. Rails make it really easy. This is why Rails is one of the best framework, because you just change it to deliver later. Man, you know what it does is it's almost, it doesn't do this. Imagine we'll be like, all right, spawn or like create another process and then send email. So that's the most basic way to do it. And then one process, the main thread, go back to the user, right? That's how you understand it, but it doesn't have to be how it works. The most robust system for email sending like this and other background tasks in Rails is Sidekick. So it's called Sidekick, but before I go to that website, when you do deliver later, you do anything, you create a job and you put in a database of jobs. So Sidekick is running in the background, looking at jobs. Oh, do I have any new jobs? All right, run it. And Sidekick also loads the Rails environment ready. When you have a job, it runs. It knows what user, what photo. You just say notify for that vote, right? But to do that, you need another database to store the jobs, right? And another server where to run Sidekick. So that's why on Heroku, we know we can only run one dyno, right? So if you have 2 dyno, you can have 1 dyno for Sidekick. So Go production, that's what you do. Now, to be really cheap, we say, hey, why do a lot of work? Just do this. Process, you can have another thread. Hey, share my memory. Rails already loaded. You send the email. I render the HTML file to the user, right? In this case, render the JavaScript text to the user and the browser run that JavaScript. Excellent. So we will use that right away. It's called Sucker Punch. Some of you asked this question. And the name is really funny, but the idea is that it will allow you to process your job. Here, job, it's a background job. When we say a job here, it's a background task, okay? Right? Or a worker. So let's do that. Sucker Punch, install it right here. And it say what? We're gonna bundle it. Oops, bundle. So to use with Rails deliver now, it's a little complicated here. So ask us questions if you're not sure about this one. Deliver later uses what Rails call active job. It say, hey, create a job. Again, job here is a background task, right? And then Sucker Punch understand that as a job and it will run it. So I search for active job here. So jobs interacting. So basically, I'm going to do something like this. So let's see. Rails Mailer. Show you guys how to look it up again. Deliver later. Right? And so it will call the job. So what's next is Rails active job. We're going to create a new job. And you can use this generator. The best way to learn is just to see the output. It's a little slow.
Can't do that yet.
Rails generate job. Pretty much, right? So let's look at the output. Okay. I'm still installing what's needed for Sucker Punch. In the meantime,
The internet just died.
I think so. Too many people here.
Okay.
All right.
You can s-
Hotspot time. Uh-oh. Request timeout. It's really...
We can jump to this. We can try this. We can do this in the meantime.
Okay. We got it. We'll pause for a second
Pause.
to
Okay.
work on while the internet's down.
So you got this. So a few people are already passing this around, but this is the sheet with everyone's name on it. So
All right. Welcome back. Where are we? We just added Sucker Punch. And it was running. The internet went down. But what we have so far, we added Sucker Punch, which used this guy, Celluloid, to run the to do the threading, and helps us run multiple threads on the same dyno process. So here's on localhost. We want to make sure that it also works. With deliver later, it makes things really easy. I just change it without Sucker Punch. It won't work because it just gets pushed to a job that's not run, right? With Sucker Punch, automatically, I have this working when I send email. So I'm going to just deliver to Heroku. Do it locally and then deliver to push to Heroku. All right. Log file. Where's our server? Right here. If we just unlike, if we like, it seems pretty fast and it runs right here. So it's a little anti-climatic because Sucker Punch automate that for us. I'm going to add Sucker Punch, right?
so you don't have to do anything. Just deliver later.
Right, but I'll explain to us while we're pushing to Heroku, right? So with deliver later, there's a queue that Rails does, like message, email delivery, and it adds to the queue and it processes it. And it's hooked up with a job in the background. That's why we were about to look at what's called active job. And with the Rails guide, so actually we don't need add Rails, just Rails guide. All right. Active job is responsible for running background jobs, and when sometimes if you do more complicated tasks than just an email, if you say you want to create a job that runs that email 10 people, a job that email all the people who like this photo, then you don't use deliver later. What do you use? You create a method. Actually, let's do that. It will be easier to explain. Basically, what I want to do now is to email to notify all my to notify all the people who liked this photo before. So vote dot, let's say, notify all likers, right? All voters. Does that seem okay? Where do we define this method? Now I don't need this anymore, right? So it's in vote model, which is a little strange. It should be in a photo model, but this is so notify all voters, right? Does this seem right? You want to notify all the people who vote or like this photo. So you actually want it to be in the photo instance, So let's go to photo, notify all voters. You can, and then what do you pass in here? Maybe you pass the current vote, right? So I'll say current vote. And what's in it here? Real quick. We have the voters and okay. So here's the interesting part. Voters. Remember the method that we had earlier? Oh, I had a method earlier, but sorry. I'd lost it now. This one. So we actually pass in the vote. We could actually, if we pass in something else like voter here, photo and voter like earlier, this is more straightforward. But in this case, then I just get all the votes, right? Photo.votes, that's okay, right? The number of people who vote. So vote.each do, and then what do we do here? We just notify. It's a little strange. We notify users, right? But I'm going to pretend I just notify all the votes. Technically, what we want here is that if this vote is not the current vote, then we notify the user of that vote. But just for the sake of, basically every time you like, it just notify all those likes again. That's okay, right?
Yeah, and like you'd actually do this is like for Facebook comments. When someone comments, it notifies everyone who's commented before.
Yeah. So in your code, you should not just do votes. The code should actually read voter dot. You can even reject the voter that basically this voter who's is not the same as the current vote dot user dot voter. You actually only get the voter and you notify those voter. But because we don't have the notify voter method, so I'm being lazy right here. Okay, let's just go lazy. And here we deliver now.
Change to vote, not net vote.
Right? So that's okay. Basically, notify all voters. I don't even need to pass in anything here. Let's go back to the previous controller.
So this is a good candidate for backgrounding because you could maybe send 100 emails by this method. So it would be really slow.
Right? This notify voters is slow. So we have to find a way to do it. Okay, so this is when Sucker Punch is a little bit more useful. Let's make sure this works. If I go back to this notify voters, I'm going to put a sleep 3 seconds. Okay? And now my code still should work. Let's look at my local host. Run this. Put the server on. It's right here. And let's unlike. Seems fine. When I like, notice this. First, you crash. What's wrong here? Excellent. So this should be photo, right? Excellent. So yeah, really fast. So let's do it one more time. If I like, does anyone see anything happening? Oh.
Alright, like refresh the page.
Okay, unlike and like. Hey, why are you not? Alright, so that was 3 seconds wasted because my task is a little slow. Sucker Punch, help me now, right? So if you install Sucker Punch, this guy, there are 2 ways to do it. One is to use the Sucker Punch API. And this is the first one. Sucker Punch say, hey, create a job and then include this. It will make it add the methods for you to run. You can follow this. It's really easy to understand. I'm going to show another way, which is to use the active job API. So in Rails 4, they also added something called active job. And just like active record is an adapter, it's a layer for you to talk to many types of database. right? Databases. So you can choose PostgreSQL or MySQL. Active job allow you to talk to use with different adapters to talk to Sucker Punch or Sidekick or Delayed Job and many other things. So you can switch them. So I already added this, and let's do this. Configure the back end to use Sucker Punch. So actually I should have done that earlier for the deliver. Let's go create that file. Config/initializers. Who here has put files in initializer folder? Do we know what it does? We did it before, right? The content of this file is run when you boot up the app. So it configure here, it configure your Rails application. And then what's next is that we create a job. And then Sucker Punch will run it. That's it. It's only this much. Now I need to know how to create a job. And as always, I can create my Rails generate job. So let's do that. Rails generate job. And I'm going to look at the, what is it? Job name. So what should be our name? What should be the name of the job? Maybe notify all like voters, right? That can be my job. Keep your job small. So after you generate the job, you just need to define the perform method. So let's go to that job. Here's the code. Which folder are we looking at? Jobs. Excellent. Do something here. Okay? So remember our controller, we want to delay this. So what I want to do is I do this over here, right? So you have the right to control this. So you do that. Perform for photo. So what do I do over here? I call it notify all voters job dot new. It's just a normal Ruby class dot perform for photo. Yeah? Maybe. How do we do it later? So we'll say you can do perform, and let's look at it together. Like this changes and create a job. Alright. Add a job. Perform later, right? Perform. Do they have a perform now? Perform now. Okay. So that's what it is. So okay, that's fine. So I don't even need .new, right? Class name perform. So let's do perform later and see if this helps us. Okay. And let's look at the website again. And I'm going to unlike and like. That's it. My controller call perform later on photo for this job. My job.
So you do like a puts when you're done.
Yeah. So let's just say puts performing. Well, we have to hope that it's running on the same log. Actually, it may not. You have to tell Sucker Punch to print it to this log. Okay, let's try this. Unlike, like, it's not working, right? You know why? We haven't started the server. We put new files in initializers. All right, let's try that one more time. And of course, now I have to refresh. Unlike it. Ready? Like, unlike, and then it's sending email. Then it's sending email. You see the order, right? Let's do it one more time right down here. Okay, actually, let's do it here. Unlike instant. Like instant on the right, on the left, wait 3, 2, 1, send email. So that's the idea. You put a few things in one task, and then we do it with Sucker Punch. Now with Sidekick, it costs money, but when your app needs a longer task, email's easy, just use Sucker Punch. But your task may be like go through 1,000 records or do something complicated. You want want Sidekick, and Sidekick is powerful. You just go and add. It's quite easy to go and follow instruction. It also, because it manages a database of jobs, right? It can give you the dashboard statistics, what jobs are running, how many of them fail. Sucker Punch cannot do that. Sucker Punch basically, when you say, hey, do this job and also do this, okay, I just spawn a new thing and do it for you. It's a very simple process, but this is much more complicated. But this is the most popular solution, right? So next up,
We're actually out of time.
we're out of time. Oh,
Save it for next time.
we'll do it next time. So the goal was actually to let all of you sign up and then like the photo. And all of you, of course, we get a lot of photos emails being sent out. But then we will draw the graph of who liked most photos. And
Yeah, the reason we want to do that was, so today we also wanted to encourage you to start working on a project. So I'll post this soon, but the homework for this week is to come up